Today we're going to read chapter 21, Ron. Ron had curly hair and little feet. I want to play kickball, he said. You can't play, said Terence. Get out of here, said Dee Dee. Scram, said Jason. I want to play kickball, said Ron. Well, you're not playing, said Terence. Beat it. Ron stomped across the playground to the hopscotch area. Jenny was playing hopscotch with Louis. Jenny was on 9. Louis was still on 4, but it was his turn. I want to play kickball, said Ron. So go and play kickball, said Louis. Terence won't play with me, said Ron. Louis walked with Ron to the kickball field. Hey, what about the hopscotch game? Jenny asked. You won, said Louis. I beat Louis in hopscotch, Jenny announced. Leslie, Rondi, and Allison flocked around her. Hey, Louis, Damien shouted. Do you want to play kickball? All right, said Louis. Ron and I will both play. No, said Terence. Ron isn't playing. Anyone who wants to play can play, said Louis. No, he can't, said Terence. It's my ball. It isn't your ball, said Louis. You gave it to me, said Terence. I gave it to share, said Louis. If you can't share it, you can't have it. Oh, all right, said Terence. But I'll get to pitch. Ron and I will stand everybody, said Louis announced. All right, said Jason. We'll kill them. We'll murder them, said Dee Dee. We'll smash them, said Ryan. We'll see, said Louis. Ron pitched, and Louis played the other 8 questions. 20 minutes later, they finally got 3 notes. The score had 21-0. Ron was up first. Infielding, shouted Damien. Everybody stood within 10 feet of home plate. All right, Ron, Louis shouted. Kick over their heads. Ron kicked the ball only 3.5 feet. Todd picked up and threw him out. Louis was up. Everybody ran back to the edge of the outfield. Still, Louis kicked the ball over their heads for a home run. Everybody ran all the way back again for runs up. He kicked the ball only 2 feet. Dee Dee tagged him out. Louis kicked another home run. Ron then kicked the ball a foot and tripped over his way to the first base. 3 outs. Ron, Lou, and Louis held their other team only 5 runs to next inning. That was because the bell rang. Lunch was finally over. Louis and Ron lost 26-2. Ron has a wonderful day. The next day, Ron said, I want to play kickball. You can't play, said Terence. Get out of here, said Jason. Scam, said Dee Dee. I want to play kickball, Ron said to Louis. Louis walked to him to the kickball field. Ron and I will stand all of you. Everybody likes the teams. Ron pitched while Louis played another 8 portions. They lost 57-2. After that game, Louis took Ron aside. Listen, Ron, he said. Why do you always want to play kickball? You can't kick, you can't field, you can't even run to first base. You just smash every game. Hey, I know. Hey, no. Wait a second, said Ron. Don't go blaming all on me. You're half on team too, you know. And with that, he punched Louis into his stomach and punched a heck of a lot harder than he could. Chapter 22. The Three Erics. In Mrs. Jewell's class, there was the three children named Eric, Eric Fry, Eric Bacon, and Eric Ovens. They were thought out of school for being fat. Eric Fry sat this end of the room. Eric Bacon sat in the middle of the room, and Eric Ovens sat at the end of the room. They were a joke around Wayside School that if all three Erics were ever at the same end of the room the same time, the whole school will trip over. Eric Bacon hated jokes like that. That's not surprising at all. After all, he wasn't even fat. In fact, he was the skinniest kid in Mrs. Jewell's class. But nobody seemed to notice. The other two Erics were fat. So fat, and so everybody just thought all Erics were fat. But I'm not fat, Eric Bacon insisted. What's your name? Asked Jason. Eric, said Eric Bacon. Then you're fat, said John concluded. And pretty soon, the skinny Eric Bacon, the skinniest kid in Mrs. Jewell's class, had a nickname, Fatso. Eric Fry was fat. He was also the ethic in Mrs. Jewell's class. His body was soiled muscle. However, nobody ever noticed. The other two Erics weren't very good at sports. Eric Ovens were clumsy. Fatso Bacon was good alert for his size, but because he was so skinny, he didn't have much power. So naturally, everyone just assumed that Eric Fry was also clumsy and weak. After all, his name was Eric. Whenever the other kids chose up teams, Eric Fry was the last one picked. They never noticed his home runs or fabulous catches he made. Like all the athletics, he made impossible look easy. Of course, the other kids did notice sometimes that he dropped the ball. Eric Fry was playing right field. Terrence belted a deep fly to left. Eric Fry raced all the way across the field after the ball ended the last second and dived it. He caught it in the midair on his fingertips, but he lit up in the ground ball to skirt loose. Well, what did you expect, Butterfingers, said Stephen. And since that time was Eric Fry had nickname Butterfingers. Eric Ovens was the nicest person in Mrs. Jewell's class. He treated everyone equally, always had a kind word to say. But his name was Eric. Everyone thought he was mean. Fatso was mean because everyone called him Fatso. Butterfingers was meant he had to play right field. So naturally, everyone just assumed that Eric Ovens was also mean. They called him Crapple. Good morning, Allison, said Eric Ovens. How are you? Lay off, Crapple. Well, yeah, answered Allison. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. All three Erics of the Eric had nicknames. It was better to say, otherwise, when someone said, "Hey, Eric," no one will knew whom he was talking. Or time the Eric could answer, and the next time none of them could answer. When someone said, "Hey, Crabbable," then Eric Ovens knew that they were talking to him. And if someone said, "Hey, Butterfingers," Eric Fry knew they meant it. And when someone said, "Hey, Fatso," Eric Bacon would know he was being called. Chapter 23. Allison. Allison had pretty blonde hair, always wore a sky blue windbreaker. Her blind windbreaker was the same color as her eyes. She was best friends with Rondi. Rondi had blonde hair too, but she was missing 2 front teeth. Allison had all her teeth. Allison used to say that she knocked Rondi's teeth out. Allison was very pretty, so all the boys in Mrs. Joel's class teased her, especially Jason. But Allison said, "Leave me alone or I'll knock your teeth out," like I did Rondi's. The boys didn't bother her after that. One day, Allison brought a tangerine for lunch. She took a peel off for a piece. Miss Mush, the lunch teacher, walked up to her. "Allison, can I have your tangerine?" she asked. Miss Mush always gave food to children, so Allison was happy to give her a tangerine to Miss Mush. Miss Mush shoved it into her mouth and swallowed it less than 4 seconds. Allison left the lunchroom and walked to the library. The lunchroom was 15th story. The library was on the 7th. Allison was ready to have her book. She just went to the library because it was night and quiet there. The librarian walked to Allison. "What are you reading?" she asked. Allison told her the name of the book. "It sounds like a good book," said the librarian. "I never read that one. May I borrow it?" The librarian always lent the books to the children. Allison was glad to be able to return for her favorite. She gave the librarian the book, then walked down the stairs outside to the playground. Of all Allison's friends were playing freeze tag, Allison didn't feel like playing. She reached into her pocket of her sky blue windbreaker and took out the tennis ball. She bounced it a couple of times on the ground. Lewis came up to her. "Hi, Allison," he said. "May I please play with your tennis ball?" Lewis always gave balls to children. Allison was happily gave her ball to Lewis. Lewis threw it on the ball all the way on the other side of the playground. Then he was chasing after it. Allison didn't feel like doing anything. Jason ran up and tagged her. "You're frozen," he said. "Get out of here before I knock your teeth out," said Allison. Jason shrugged his shoulders and left. Allison went back inside the 30th flights of stairs to Mrs. Jewel's room. The lunch period wasn't over yet, but Allison didn't feel like doing anything else. She given her food to the lunch teacher, her book librarian, the ball to the yard teacher. She went inside her classroom. Mrs. Jules were there. "Oh, Allison, I'm glad you're here," said Mrs. Jules. "I'm having trouble with an arithmetic problem. Maybe you can help." "Sure," said Allison. Mrs. Jules had always helped the children with their problems. Allison was happy to help. "How do you spell chair?" said Mrs. Jules. "Chair," said Allison. "Yes, that's right," said Mrs. Jules. "I knew it wasn't CHARE, but I couldn't remember what it was." "It was not arithmetic problem," said Allison. That's spelling. Yes, you're right again, said Mrs. Jules. I always get the two mixed up. The bell rang. The lunch period was over. Allison could hear the other children running up the stairs. Allison, said Mrs. Jules, you learned a very important secret today. I don't want you to tell anyone, the other children, not even Randy. What was that? Said Allison. She didn't even know she had learned a secret. She loved secret. You learned that children are really smarter than teachers, said Allison. Oh, that's no secret, said Allison. Everybody knows that. And that's end of this part. See you later.